easy.
Very Van Damme.
It's rolling.
Is it rolling?
Yeah, he starts rolling.
This thing on?
That's how he tricks us.
All right, Bob Chick, we are here in Tampa. We're just concluding prejudging. I'm here with David Baye and Peter McGough. All right, guys, we had the men's open here. A lot on the line. This is the last qualifier of the season. 6 weeks to go for the Olympia. How'd you see it, Peter?
Well, it was a very interesting competition. I think David and I, sitting together, had the same view. When Bonnock first came out and Victor first came out on their own, we thought Victor was in trouble. But in the comparisons, Victor seemed to win the comparisons against Bonnock by virtue of, you know, a better flowing physique, in my opinion, and it was exciting to watch that turnaround.
Well, lots of muscle on that stage. Bonnock certainly not shy in the muscle department, but giving up a lot in size and height over Victor. And Victor looked great. I mean, this is the best we've seen Victor pretty much in the last 2 years, and it looks like he's on his comeback trail. How'd you see it, David?
It was almost a little bit of a repeat what we saw yesterday in the 212, with Marvin coming out looking fantastic by himself and Hitty edging him on stage. As Peter said, it was kind of the same thing with William and Victor. When William came out, I thought he was going to be your winner, and I thought it was kind of clear. And then you put him next to Victor in the lineup. Victor's considerably bigger than William is, as far as, I don't know that if body parts are necessarily bigger, if that makes sense, but just he's got a much bigger frame, and he's wider than William is. So if I had to pick somebody from prejudging, I'd be going with Victor as your winner.
Let's key on Victor for just a minute, Peter. Now, obviously, we're going to forecast that it's probably going to be Victor tonight. And once again, things can change. I mean, we've seen things change, and there's literally only, we talk about tonight, it's literally just 2 hours away. The pros are up first. So they don't have a lot of turnaround time. That could be probably a blessing for most of the guys. They don't have time to mess it up. But let's just forecast that Victor is going to win here. Let's talk about Victor at the Olympia. Are we seeing a return of the Dominican Dominator to his old form?
Well, this is the best he's been for about 3 years. I mean, he's had all this bad luck over the last few years. Some of it, people might say, some of it his own making, but he's had bad luck. Let's just leave it at that. And when he drew his number yesterday, it was number 13. You thought, oh, my God, here we go again.
Jeez.
I mean, not that he's admitted it, but he must have dented his confidence the last 2 or 3 years. Today, he's got it right. He's not as good as he was, say, in 07, but he's on that road. He's still got 6 weeks with that confidence, a win behind him, as we see it at this point. So I think he could. He was out the top 10 of the Olympia last year. I think he'll be in the top 10. He could be pushing for the top 6 again.
Now, let me ask you this, Peter. Now, Victor is pretty much virtually qualified just by points alone, which he amassed right after the Olympia last year. So he's pretty much been the points leader all year long. Mathematically, even if he didn't compete here today, it would have been very unlikely he would have been out of the top 5. So he could have kind of rode in on his coattails in terms of points. He decided to compete. Good move?
Well, I think so, because he goes in with a win under his belt, not as a guy who amassed points and hasn't been as good as he has been. Now, you know, this is almost the first round of the Olympia prejudging for him. Victor's on his way back. That'll be in the judge's mind when he walks out in Las Vegas.
How important was this show, or will be this show, if Victor wins, for his confidence going into the Olympia?
I think it's huge. I think, Peter hit the nail on the head, saying people would probably say, oh, well, Victor got in on points, and he was 4th at the Arnold, and, out of the top 10 at last year's Olympia. But he really brought it today. His legs, as Peter said, aren't quite as big as they used to be. And I think he could stand to be a little sharper for the Olympia, and he's got 6 weeks, so I'm expecting that. But he looked really good today, and by far the best Victor we've seen over the last few years.
Well, 4 men called out in that first call-out. I want to get to the other 2, which was Mo Benute, who was in fantastic condition, and Big Max Charles, boy, who you talk about upper bodies. I mean, if he can ever get those legs to match, boy, he's a problem. But those 2 guys were in there, and Steve kind of moved them around a little bit. It looked fairly clear to me, at least at first, that Mo and Max would be battling for 3rd and 4th. Seemed to be the way it ended up at the end of the prejudging.
Yeah, I think I had Max 3rd. I'll be quite honest with you. My focus was totally on 1st place, that I tended to, for once, drift a little bit. Honestly, it's not happening.
Wow, that does never happens. Peter, what's going on?
But I thought Max, upper body is tremendous. I don't think he was quite as sharp as New York, but I saw him edge that 3rd place. And of course, the other guy that caught the eye was the guy from South America.
Pablo Ayala. No, that's not a name that really jumps out at a lot of whole people. But if you look at his physique, and obviously we've got pictures and galleries that will be going up, guys, but you look at this guy's physique and you look at his potential, and it's really something, because, I mean, short of conditioning, and if he gets 10% more conditioning, this guy's actually in the mix for the win.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's like the open version of Abba's paw, isn't he? You know, he's got every body part. He just needs to get separated and tight, and he's in there. I mean, everything's there. When he walked out, nobody's seen him before. It's like, Jesus, what's this? You know, or Jesus. He's from South America.
Jesus. So, thanks for distinguishing that. There was a couple other names in the mix now. Manny Romero, who last week came out of literally nowhere, got himself a good finish, but came up a little bit short there. Comes to this week, but I don't think he was as good this week as he was last week. Seemed to be lacking a little bit in that conditioning department. Size was there, but came up a little short.
Yeah, he just wasn't in as good a shape as he was a week ago. And as anybody who's competed knows, a lot of things can happen in a matter of 48 hours. And so you can look like a different person over the course of a week. I saw him at check-ins on Thursday, and he hit a little ab shot for the paparazzi. And I knew then that he was in trouble. They were very washed out, didn't look real lean. And again, a lot can change from a Thursday to a Saturday, but not that much. So, I would have liked to have seen him improve from Sacramento and see where he fell, but, he went backwards.
Well, in the pregame, we had actually mentioned the veterans coming in here, specifically Bill Wilmore and Ben White. Both of them actually did pretty good, actually, in this mix. They were right up there in that first guys of the second call-out, and Steve gave them every opportunity to move up. Both look very good, but just missing a little bit when it came to this lineup.
Yeah, Ben, I thought, looked way better than he looked earlier on this year. Conditioning-wise, I think he was about the same as he was earlier on this year, but he looked like he was about 20 pounds heavier. His legs still need to come up. His upper body is really good. His legs are still lacking a little, but his legs were really peeled. It was weird because his upper body, definitely not as conditioned as his legs, but way better than he was earlier on this year, so he's got to be happy with that. Bill Wilmore, I don't think Bill is the best we've seen him, but when we look at how he came out earlier on this year, he's definitely better than that. So he's got to be happy with, really bringing it together, at least respectively speaking, for 2014. Again, not really a contender for your top five, but, the best Bill Wilmore we've seen this year.
Well, other than checks, obviously, and pats on the back, Peter, you don't think it's going to make any difference here tonight is going to be that winning spot. Got to go with the Dominican Dominator on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a good thing. There's only a 2-hour gap. As you say, they've got not too much time to play around with it. Just dry out a little bit. Don't do anything ridiculous. I think Victor's, long enough in the tooth to know that. And Bonnock's got Neil Hill in his corner, so I don't expect any pyrotechnics there either of a negative nature. Sure. Yeah.
With the biggest shock of the afternoon, Peter, India Paulino not wearing a yellow bikini.
No, and I've never been, to be honest, an India Paulino fan. I mean, a lovely girl and everything, but I've just not seen it straight up and down. And, Lacey DeLuca, for me, was the pick of the lineup.
Well, I know you like to keep tabs on the bikini girls, and it's a good thing you do. We also had the pro figure girls, and that was a stacked lineup. Another one, 36 deep.
Yeah, figure, it was really interesting. Peter and I are sitting next to each other, and they do the first call-out. And Latoya Watts isn't in the first call-out initially.
That was strange to me, too. I was like, did they just miss her? Or?
Yeah, to me, I don't want to act like I'm tooting my own horn because she's that good where me saying, well, that's your winner, that's not me predicting anything that people don't already know. I mean, that's just calling it an easy call. So I had talked earlier on in the week how I see her as the winner. I actually talked to Latoya at the airport and in the fitness center at the hotel. Spoke with her a lot about some of the improvements she's made. She was told last year she needs to be a little bit bigger. She's definitely more muscular, and when you see her in pictures, I don't know if you get a feel for how muscular she is, and I wouldn't have known that. Like I said, we were in the fitness center working out. Not together, but in the same vicinity.
Sure, we get it.
But she's a muscular girl, and so she got put right in the middle after she finally got called out and didn't get moved. So I think it's a clear win for Latoya Watts.
Well, that was interesting, Peter, because like I say, she was almost like she kind of got forgotten initially. They had the group of 5 or 6 girls out there. Then she kind of got moved at the last second. They moved her in, but she was way on the end. And then with each successive turn, she moved closer and closer and closer and finally got in the middle. Your pick as well?
Oh, definitely, from the get-go. When she was left out, in fact, she was left out for so long, they were almost starting the comparisons with the other 6 girls, that we were commenting online, why not Latoya? And the only thought was, well, maybe they found her too big, but she's got lovely shape and tiny waist. To me, she was a standout from start to finish.
Well, women's physique also taking the stage. That one, I don't think the depth was quite there, but I think that the pre-contest favorites coming through pretty good. Karina Nascimento, Jillian Reville. How did you see it, David?
I think, they had 3 girls that they got brought back out, Karina, Jillian, and Heather Grace. From the first call out, when they had more girls, Heather kind of stuck in the middle the whole time. Jillian got moved around a little bit. Karina got moved around a little bit. But I think, if I had to pick a winner for tonight based on what we saw this morning, I'd go with Heather.
All right, Peter.
I'd go with Jillian, although you've got your own view, and then you judge what the judges are doing. I just think Jillian had a better all-round elements to her. I felt Heather's legs were maybe too striated, but we're still all juggling with this. Where's the line?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for the report. This is going to wrap things up here at the Prejudge and, of course, the finals in just a few hours on this stage. So we'll see. Things can change. We've seen it before. The judges will be judging tonight. So for any of those athletes, I think it doesn't make any difference. We've seen plenty of opportunity that it absolutely does. So we'll see actually who ends up in the winner's circle and who qualifies for the 2014 Olympia weekend.